What's the haps? I'm Moroku and welcome to the Button Mash Gaming Awards 2018. That obligatory end of the year thing that everyone does and nobody really cares about at all, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to sit here for a while and tell you about all of the best games that I played in 2018, like I always do, and you're going to listen. So let's kick things off with the best single player experience. Our nominees tonight are Donut County, Not Tonight, Treasure Adventure World, and Return of the Obra Dinn. For this I'm going to go with Return of the Obra Dinn, because honestly there's genuinely nothing quite like it out there in almost any regard. It is a hugely complex mystery which unfolds sort of piecemeal, patchwork, non-linear, a little bit like Pulp Fiction really. You slowly tie the story together piece by piece. There's countless subtleties in the environments and the sound which all just slowly push you in the right direction. It's in such a way that you feel like a complete genius when it all comes together. It is just a hugely rewarding experience. I will definitely give an honourable mention to Donut County though, which I was certain for a long time would probably end up being my best single player experience of 2018. It's a very simple but very unique mechanic in a very charming world, and really the only bad thing I actually have to say about it is that there just simply wasn't enough of it. Best multiplayer experience. The nominees are Dauntless, Stardew Valley, Monster Prom, and 1 Hour, 1 Life. The winner is one that I actually didn't expect. It's 1 Hour, 1 Life, because it utilises multiplayer in a genuinely novel way. Players are thrown together and forced to survive, essentially building an entire civilization basically from scratch. And of course the players that are going to be put together are going to be of wildly varying talents, meaning you end up with veteran players and more skilled players needing to teach complete newcomers to the game not only the very basics of the mechanics in order to keep themselves alive, but also for their entire group to be able to thrive. And they need to do so quickly, or else the whole civilization will collapse, because as the name implies, every player in this game is only going to live for 1 hour. Once those veterans die off, it's up to those newcomers to carry on the torch, and it creates a really interesting and quite compelling dynamic. Digging down into the crafting system, which I can only really describe as verging on unreasonably complex, and which continues to grow, I think, pretty much by the week, kind of also shows the care and consideration which has really gone into the whole design of the whole thing. I don't think it's necessarily anything that's going to have particularly broad appeal, but I do think it's something that's definitely worth checking out just for the sheer novel experience of it all. Best Visual Style. The nominees are Donut County, Juicy Realm, Omen Sight, Far From Noise, and Monster Prom. Oof, this one gets harder and harder to pick every single year. There's so many indie games with such a fantastic art style, and there's always more of them every single year. The nominees are really but a handful of my favourites from 2018, but at the end of the day I think I'm going to have to give it to Omen Sight. Omen Sight had a dark but bold and colourful style, and in many ways it was very evocative of Pyre, which I was more than content to give this title to back in 2017. It is a complete visual treat, and I honestly think it could be enough to carry the game on its own, if it weren't already a genuinely great title in its own right. Best Narrative Experience. The nominees are Life is Strange Before the Storm, Omen Sight, Far From Noise, and headliner Novi News. The winner is Life is Strange Before the Storm, and yes, I know this is a game that actually came out last year. But as I said at the start of the video, and as I have always done with my gaming awards, I pick the winners based on the video games that I have played this year, and I played Life is Strange Before the Storm this year, and it is the best narrative game that I have played this year. Before the Storm follows in the footsteps of the original Life is Strange, or I suppose maybe even precedes it since it is a prequel and all, but based on that it was always going to be a spectacular narrative ride. It does lose the time manipulation mechanic of the original, and maybe compared to some of the other nominees perhaps doesn't do anything genuinely special, but it is such a compelling rollercoaster of a story, and we get to explore the lives of characters we grew to love in the original, as well as others that we never even really got to know. It really was a story I simply couldn't put down, and that I couldn't give to any other title this year. Best Soundtrack. The nominees are Donut County, Closers, and Party Hard 2. The winner is Closers, which is one which actually took me by surprise a little bit. For an anime beat-em-up, I never really particularly anticipated a kick-ass rock and metal soundtrack. There's so much good in this that, I was quite content to do the MMO thing and just grind out the same levels over and over again, just because I got to hear the music. I even ripped a couple of songs from the game during the summer event because, quite frankly, I simply couldn't find them in any versions of the soundtrack online. It's a great one. Go play it. Go listen to it. Best mobile game. There are no nominees. The winner is Pokemon Go, and yes, for the second year running, but, you know, I honestly don't believe I've come across anything truly excellent on mobile this year. And quite frankly, Niantic are continuing to support the game really well. They have introduced trading and PvP and quests, as well as Generation 4 Pokemon this year. It's going from strength to strength, people are still playing it, there's still a great community out there. It's a fantastic game to be a part of, honestly. Best surprises. Again, not a lot of options because I don't think anything really caught me particularly off guard this year, with, I guess, one noteworthy exception, which I described earlier, which is 1 Hour, 1 Life. Honestly, I genuinely didn't think the game looked amazing going in. I was probably put off by the art style, and rather cynically, I pretty much played it because it was a new MMO and it was getting some attention, and I figured I should get in on that. I really didn't expect such an original experience. At the end of the day, I'm still not entirely convinced it's for me, but it was a very pleasant surprise to find such a solid title behind the weird and kind of bad programmer art. The Whop Whop You Tried award for effort. Graveyard Keeper. Oh dear, Stardew Cemetery was such a promising concept, but like with Punch Club before it, Lazy Bear Games delivered kind of a weak gameplay loop and terrible pacing. It's very easy to sink quite a few hours into Graveyard Keeper, much like Stardew Valley, but whereas in Stardew, there's always a very tangible sense of progress, in Graveyard Keeper it's all too easy to feel like you just spent 4 hours grinding away to achieve almost nothing at all. The Game of the Year! After a lot of thought about everything that I've played and loved this year, I think ultimately I've got to give this one to Donut County. It's an odd one because I'm not entirely convinced it's singularly the best at anything whatsoever. But looking at all my lists of nominees, it's become a close runner-up in quite a considerable number of categories. I thought it was very close to being one of the best single-player experiences of the year. I thought it had a wonderful visual style, up there with the very best of them. I thought it had an incredible soundtrack. So where other games may have excelled in individual areas, I do feel like Donut County excelled as an entire package in its entirety. Through and through, from start to finish, Donut County is joyous and delightful. If I could only convince you to purchase and play one single game this year, I would tell you to make it Donut County. You really owe it to yourself to play this wonderful, wonderful creation. It's a true labor of love, which was the creation of really just one single solo developer. And it's worth noting that there is, unfortunately, a rather cynical kind of free-to-play mechanical cash-in doing the rounds on mobile, which is attempting to steal some thunder from it. If you come across a game called Hole.io, I would urge you to avoid that one and go play Donut County instead. Yes, it's a premium game. Yes, you have to pay for it. Yes, it's worth paying for it. Hole.io is made by corporate vampires. Donut County is made by love. Ones to watch in 2019. This is a bit I always quite like to do at the end of my gaming awards. It's just games that are possibly coming out in the coming year. At the end of the day, some of them may yet not, but I'd like to hope they would. And at any regard, I think they're definitely ones you should be keeping an eye on and checking them out when they do appear. Freedom Planet 2! This is, the third year I've listed this actually, and I feel like there may yet be more years to come, because, the first game actually took quite a long time to make. The Steam page for it currently lists its ETA as TBD. Jenny Leclue Detective Vu, which, yes, has also made my list for the third year running. They exhibited at PAX this year, which was promising, but the demo they were showing was actually exactly the same one as I played 3 years ago, so who really knows where that one's at? The Steam ETA at time of writing currently says 2018. I'm going to be honest, I feel like that may be a little bit ambitious at this stage. Eastward is an adorable pixel art adventure game, which is also one I listed last year, but now at least it has a Steam page and it notes the ETA as coming soon. It still looks cool, I still want to keep an eye on it. Worlds Adrift. I'll be honest, if you're subscribed to my channel, you should probably know what Worlds Adrift is, but, it's still not finished yet, so keep following it. I'm going to keep playing it, you guys should keep following along. Look, it's a good game. Make Sail. Definitely a game I have listed previously, but it did launch in early access this year. Honestly, the last time I played it, it was what I could only fairly describe as very rough. But, you know, the development is continuing, and I still have high hopes for it. There's just quite a lot of kinks to work out before it gets there. Muse Dash is one I played at PAX this year. It's just a really solid, cute anime rhythm game. It, for the longest time, has had an ETA of 3rd quarter 2018 on its Steam page. I've noticed it has now updated to 1st quarter 2019, so soon? Please soon? Soul Saga. I don't actually know where I found out about this, but it is on my Steam wishlist. It is a very classic-looking, cute JRPG with airships and floating islands. It is described as being not quite ready yet, but it definitely looks like something I could enjoy. Bloodstained, Ritual of the Night. Not really one that particularly needs me to help promote it in any way, shape or form. It was a kickstarted spiritual successor to Castlevania, made by the original creator of Castlevania. As such, it earned quite a lot of money on Kickstarter, and it's going to have quite a lot of buzz around it when it does launch, but heck, you know it's going to be pretty good, right? Elsinore. It's essentially Shakespeare's Hamlet with a time-looping style mechanic, kind of like Dead Rising or Roman Sight had. So essentially you're going to play through the same day over and over again, but by taking different routes and choices and paths, you'll meet different people and see different events and learn more about the world around you. And I love me some time looping anyway, but then applying it to a really cool concept like Shakespeare. Heck, I want on board with that. Yeah, I want to play this. This is looking great. So that is, for me, all the real highlights of 2018. There's been a bunch of good stuff, and I'm sure there'll be plenty more to come in 2019. Let me know in the comments below what your favourites were from the past year and what you're looking forward to in 2019, because I always love to hear that. But for now, all that remains is for me to thank you for joining me, and for watching, and for remaining subscribed to the channel. Don't forget that if you want to join the community, you can join the Button Mash Discord, which is linked in the description below, where you can hang out and chat and shoot the breeze with all the other Button Mash community members. And if you really want to support the channel, the single very best way you could possibly do that is to become a channel member. For a small monthly fee, you can get a shiny icon next to your name in the live chats, as well as access to a whole bunch of nautical emojis, as well as your name in lights, I tell you, or at least written in parts of my streams. You will see your name on the screen. You'll be famous, I tell you. Okay, somewhat famous. Okay, people will see your name, I can tell you that much. Thank you once more for watching. I've been Moroka. I'll see you next time.